In Tokyo, Japan, in 1922, a 15-year-old named Soichiro started his first job at a small auto repair shop. However, the shop owner was hesitant about the boy's ability to handle the job and instead assigned him to clean the workshop and look after his child. At that time, no one paid much attention to the boy's future prospects because they had no idea who he would eventually become. Several decades later, that boy, Soichiro Honda, was competing with some of the largest car brands globally while also owning the biggest motorcycle manufacturer. This is the remarkable story of how a poor Japanese boy went from babysitting children to creating the multi-billion-dollar brand with Honda Motors. Soichiro Honda's story begins in 1906 in a small, impoverished village named Tenryu Shizuoka, located at the foot of Mount Fuji. His parents, Gaha Honda, and his wife were his welcoming party. Soichiro's father was a local blacksmith who also repaired bicycles, while his mother was an accomplished weaver. Soichiro had a difficult upbringing due to the family's financial struggles and health issues that caused him to lose 5 siblings. At the age of 8, Soichiro Honda stumbled upon a remarkable sight while going about his daily routine in the neighborhood. He heard a peculiar rumble and followed the sound until he laid eyes on a Ford Model T, a big piece of machinery rolling along on 4 wheels. He was captivated by what he saw and could not comprehend how it moved under its own power. Soichiro chased the car down the road as hard as he could run, leaving an indelible impression on his young mind that would shape his relationship with machines forever. Despite his fascination with engines and motors, Soichiro showed no interest in pursuing a formal education, instead spending most of his childhood assisting his father with his bicycle repair business. He learned how to wet the blades of farm machinery and repair bicycles, but his lack of focus on academics resulted in poor grades. To avoid his father's wrath, he used rubber to forge his family's stamp on his great reports, but eventually got caught. His father punished him by making him kneel on his knees for an entire day without lunch. In 1922, Soichiro stumbled upon an advertisement for Art Shokai, a Tokyo-based automobile servicing company, and decided to write a letter inquiring about a job. Being one of the most popular motor car services in the city, he hoped that they might be in need of new workers. Fortunately, he received a positive response, and at the age of 15, Soichiro left his village, dropped out of school, and set out for Tokyo to pursue his dreams. Arriving in the bustling city, Soichiro was taken aback by the fast-paced urban life that was a world away from the peaceful village he had grown up in. Initially, Yuzo Sakakibara, the owner of the shop, assigned him the task of babysitting his child, which did not pay well, but Soichiro persisted as he did not want to return home as a failure and face his parents. As the owner couldn't keep up with the high demand of his automobile business, he eventually pulled Soichiro in to assist him. Soichiro started with menial tasks, but worked his way up to become a trusted mechanic at the company. Over time, Sakakibara took Soichiro under his wing and taught him not only the mechanical repairs, but also the business aspect of the company. During the early 1900s, automobiles were luxury items that only the upper class could afford. Soichiro Honda gained exposure to a range of cars, including Lincolns, Mercedes-Daimlers, and motorcycles, while working at Sakakibara's automobile and bicycle repair shop. He quickly developed a passion for understanding and mastering the craft of mechanical repairs, which led him to motorsports, an emerging industry gaining popularity in Europe, America, and Japan. In 1923, Sakakibara began building racing cars with the help of his employees, including Soichiro. The Art Daimler was their first model, constructed using a second-hand Daimler engine. The Curtiss was their second model, which utilized another second-hand engine from an American Curtiss biplane placed on the chassis of a Mitchell. In 1924, their Curtiss raced in the 5th Japanese Motorcar Championship, with Sakakibara's brother as the driver and Soichiro as the accompanying engineer. They took first place, and the experience solidified Soichiro's passion for motorsports, which he continued to pursue as a lifelong devotion. In 1926, Soichiro attempted to join the military, but was found to be colorblind during medical examinations. Therefore, he was unable to serve and continued working at Art Shokai. 2 years later, Yuzosta Kakibara decided to expand the business and open a new branch in Hamamatsu. He entrusted Soichiro, then 21 years old, to manage the new location. Unfortunately, the branch struggled to attract customers in its first year due to Soichiro's youth and inexperience. He had to rely on the small amount of business that other repair shops rejected. However, Soichiro utilized the skills and knowledge he had accumulated over the years, and eventually, he successfully developed his business. By the 1930s, Soichiro's one-man operation had grown to a staff of 30 people. His new branch expanded rapidly over the next few years, and he even brought his wife in to help run the company due to the high demand for their services. Soichiro was not only known for being a talented mechanic, but also an exceptional racing driver. His passion for speed and racing helped him gain recognition as a skillful driver and mechanic. He frequently customized cars for racing purposes, earning him the nickname Speed Hunter. He even participated in several races himself. During the 1930s, Soichiro Honda achieved a remarkable feat by constructing a race car from scratch in only 3 months. He named the car the Honda Special and entered it into the 1936 RAC Tourist Trophy race in Ireland. Although the car suffered from mechanical issues, it was still a significant achievement for a relatively unknown Japanese mechanic to be competing against some of the biggest names in European motorsports. The vehicle was based on a Riley 9 chassis, but it had a custom-built aluminum body and a supercharged engine that could reach speeds of up to 120 miles per hour. Soichiro's success as a mechanic and racer drew the attention of Toyota, which offered him a job in 1937. However, he turned down the offer and was determined to establish his own company. Along with his partner Kato, he established the Art Piston Ring Research Center and worked tirelessly to make a breakthrough in piston manufacturing. Soichiro spent his days at the repair workshop and his nights developing pistons at the Hamamatsu branch. Despite years of struggle and failures, Soichiro persevered and decided to enroll as a part-time student at the Hamamatsu Industrial Institute to improve his knowledge of metallurgy. The hard work took its toll on Soichiro, causing him to lose a considerable amount of weight and look completely different. In 1939, Soichiro finally developed a working piston design and left his job at Art Shokai to work full-time at his new company. However, his pistons still had flaws, and out of the 50 he submitted to Toyota, only 3 passed their standards. Soichiro spent the next few years traveling around Japan to learn more about manufacturing piston rings. Despite setbacks, orders for his pistons increased, and his company grew to employ around 2,000 people. However, Japan's entry into the Pacific War in 1941 resulted in the company being placed under the control of the Ministry of Munitions, with Toyota acquiring a 45% stake and Soichiro being demoted to a senior managing director position. As male employees were drafted, Soichiro struggled to keep his company running, and it was eventually destroyed by a bomb blast during an air raid in 1944. Another misfortune struck in January 1945 when the Iwata plant collapsed due to the Nankai earthquake. Following Japan's surrender in August 1945, Soichiro sold his remaining company to Toyota for 450,000 yen. Afterward, Soichiro took some time off, but a year later, Japan experienced an economic crisis that left its citizens struggling to find food, clothing, and shelter. Soichiro was also affected and couldn't even find enough gas to drive to the market and buy food for his family. After encountering a generator engine used by the Japanese Imperial Army to power a wireless radio during the war, Soichiro Honda was intrigued by its workings and had a vision. He established the Honda Technical Research Institute in 1946 with a staff of 12 men to develop a way to manufacture motorcycles. Using various spare parts and engines he found, they successfully created a motorbike that gained immense popularity and orders from all over Japan. As their supply of used engines ran out, Soichiro decided to design and develop his own engine. In 1947, he completed the Taipei engine, and the Honda name was displayed on a machine for the first time. In 1948, he founded the Honda Motor Company with the objective of manufacturing motorcycles and launched their first commercial model, the Dream D-Type. The company gained a reputation for producing high-quality and dependable motorcycles, leading to rapid sales growth. They later expanded into producing automobiles, including the widely popular Honda Civic and Accord models. Honda achieved tremendous success in the motorcycle industry with the launch of its first motorcycle, the Honda Dream, in the late 1940s. By 1968, the company had produced over 10 million motorcycles, making it the largest motorcycle company in the world. However, Soichiro Honda, the company's founder, had a lifelong dream of venturing into the car manufacturing industry, which he finally pursued in the early 1960s. Despite many warnings about the risks involved, Honda remained determined and announced its decision to produce automobiles. Japan already had established car manufacturers like Nissan and Toyota, and some officials tried to dissuade Honda from entering the market. Nevertheless, the company debuted its first car, the T360 mini truck, in 1963. Although the truck was reliable, it did not gain much popularity, and Honda followed it up with its first sports car, the S500. The S500 was a smooth, two-door roadster with a 4-speed transmission and a top speed of 80 miles per hour. Though only about 1,300 cars of this model were produced, it became one of the easiest to drive cars of its time and left a lasting impression in the racing world, just as Honda's motorcycles had done. In 1964, Honda made its Formula One debut with the RA271, and within a year, it won first place in the 1965 Mexican Grand Prix with its successor, the RA272. However, Honda's fortunes were about to change when the company shifted its focus to building one of the most successful cars in the world, the Honda Civic. Debuted in 1972, the Civic soon became a global sensation, particularly in Europe and America. The Civic's success was due to its fuel efficiency, which was critical during the oil crisis of the 1970s. Honda's innovative compound vortex-controlled combustion (CVCC) system allowed people to travel longer distances without burning too much fuel, and the Civic tackled the pollution problem caused by exhaust gases by adding a catalytic converter to its vehicles. As the Civic's popularity continued to soar, Honda decided to expand its lineup with the Honda Accord. Initially debuted as a compact hatchback, the Accord soon expanded to sedans, offering the same fuel-efficient features as the Civic, but with a more comfortable and spacious interior. The Accord became one of the best-selling sedans in automotive history, and by the end of the 1980s, Honda had become the third-largest car company globally. Soichiro Honda retired from the company in 1973, but remained proud of his achievements. Despite his mistakes and failures, his hard work and determination paid off, and the Honda Motor Company had become a major player in the global automotive industry. The founding and establishment of Honda is not an easy story to navigate, but with hard work and dedication, it was possible. If you liked hearing this one, hit the like button and click on the subscribe button for similar content. See you next time.